I guess that my claim for fame is that I started my first business. We're talking about business. So I started my first business when I was 18. And that was many, many years ago. It was in Israel. And that was a software company. And I started it like many of you as a ZZP'er. How many of you are ZZP'ers? All right. So that's more than 2/3 of the room, I think. So I started on my own, on my computer in my living room, and started creating programs, creating software. That was the days where PCs just entered the market. Anyway, because it was the beginning, because it was a big boom at that time, and there were not a lot of programmers for this type of computers, then I became very successful. The company grew very, very fast. Within 3 years, the company became the biggest company in our field in Israel, and within 5 years, when I was 23, I became for the first time a self-made millionaire. So that happens as a result of my first company. True to be told, 2 years later, I managed to lose this company. So about 7, 8 years after that company was very, very successful, I managed to ruin everything and lost that. So when Ronnie says I know the ups and downs, I know quite some ups and downs. I've been a millionaire on the upside, I've been a millionaire on the downside, with millions or not millions, but $1 million in debt. So I know a little bit about that. After I lost everything that I had, and I had a few other companies at that time, I just don't want to get too much into that, I came to Holland, and I came to Holland with nothing. That was about, it was in 1995, you do the calculation, I think 17 years ago. And I came to Holland with nothing, actually with less than nothing. I came with lots of debts. I knew nothing about what I want to do. I knew that I don't want to do anything with computers. I don't want to do anything with marketing. So I came with that to Holland, and I didn't know really what to do. I started with this little business of giving personal development trainings. I knew that I know something about success. I knew something about failure, so I thought I can teach people that. And that's what I did for quite a few years. And I made this decision to become a ZZP'er. I didn't know the term, but I made the decision to stay on my own. And I struggled, like many of you do, for years. For years and years and years, I kept on struggling. And I think that some of the struggles that you have that brought you here, I can still remember. I remember those talks about quitting, you know, about it doesn't work, you know, maybe I just have to get a job. And I never had a job in my life before, but quitting the business. And it happened almost every year around March. It was the worst period of the business. It went down. We couldn't afford anything. And I planned to quit every time. Anybody ever have those thoughts that you say, I don't know how I'm paying the bills next month, you know, maybe it's time to go and look for a real job? Anybody ever had that? When you decide to go for a business, the last thing you want is to go back for a job. Would you agree? Yeah? So that's, I still remember that. Because I couldn't sleep at nights because I was thinking, you know, where will I bring the money for next month? And at the beginning, it wasn't a big deal because it was just me and my wife, and we had, you know, we were young and we had good time. But when my daughter was born, that wasn't anymore a game. Anybody knows what I'm talking about? How many of you ever don't sleep at night because you're worried about what will happen next month? Okay, great. Thank you for that. I made a decision that I need to take myself seriously. And I think that you made that decision when you chose to come here. I made a conscious decision. Enough is enough. I don't want to keep on struggling. That's not fun anymore. I didn't enjoy that anymore. At the beginning, it was great. It was a survival instinct, and you get a lot of adrenaline from that, and it wasn't fun anymore after a while. And I made a conscious decision. I need to change. I need to change, not something else. So what I did is I started learning. I started doing what you're doing right now. For some of you, it's the first time. For some of you, maybe it's just part of the process. But for me, that was the first time that I made a choice. I'm starting to learn what it means to be an entrepreneur, what it means to own a business, to run a business, to be successful in business. A change always happens with a decision, taking myself seriously, taking my business seriously, and my hope for you is that this weekend is your turning point. And some of you might be doubting that and saying, well, the economy situation is not so good and there's a crisis out there, nobody has money and they cannot afford my products and services. That's going to change because it's never about the outside, it's about you. It's about what you're willing to do in your life. Are you willing to change? Are you willing to make the jump? Anybody's willing to make the jump? I don't hear enthusiasm. I see hands, but I don't hear enthusiasm. Let me teach you something about Open Circles, Nisandeh Neta, and the Business Bootcamp. In life, if you want to get something in life, you better show it. You better go all the way. How many of you are really willing to be enthusiastic for a whole weekend? Yes! Now I hear you.